Yeah. Um, and that's somebody, my boss came by and she walked through the garage and she's like, haven't been using your workout equipment lately. I was like, nope, it's kind of annoying. It's like you see all of it over there. It's a beautiful home gym setup. There's currently like a little kid's trampoline taking up the spot where I would normally stand.
I mean, you don't want to squat on a trampoline. It
That
seems like
any
that
problem?
seems like one of those like fitness influencer like.
You could that would be a nice make sure that you get up out of the hole as quickly as possible. Just sit down on a trampoline and let you bounce out of it. Um,
It's a plyometric movement, right? Like that's
yeah, it's a new
training
kind
the
of
fascial
exercise.
fibers, like because then there's going to be some asshole on Instagram that would do that. Like because I know you used to watch his stuff. I still occasionally look at it, the Broscience videos.
Oh yeah, I love Broscience.
Like one of them popped up on my YouTube suggested stuff when I was doing cardio today, and it was he was doing the for March Madness. It was like the worst fitness influencers. So
Yeah, did you watch the whole thing?
oh god, yes, it was amazing, and I agree with it. So
I
yeah,
saw that.
that's actually like I feel like would be a good topic to discuss at some point too, of like what makes an expert versus an influencer.
Oh yeah, all you need is some genetic freak or really quality hormone replacement therapy to be an influencer. Um, but
Like I went off the other day talking to somebody about influencers, and they were like, yeah, you act like they're like it's a personal attack to you." I'm like, it is. Like I've worked really hard on my credentials and everything that I do, but because somebody's jacked and claims to be natural or does squats on a trampoline and looks like that's the next coolest thing, like people will choose to listen to them over us at times, which is insane.
all the time, or most frequently probably am dispelling patients' nutrition myths, which come from some random person on a social media site or some random website. Like I saw one time it looked like a GeoCities website somebody made it into the computer, and I was like, "Whoa, this is nuts." Um, I'm not saying that our website is immaculate and beautiful or anything, but our website at least looks like it was made in this decade. There's
And like at least like there's like credentials there. Like even if like you do a really good job with a lot of our social media and our tech stuff. But like even if you didn't, like even if you were went to a GeoCities looking website that happened to be franchisenf.com, like at least it would be like, hey, Matt and Ryan are a registered dietitian and certified trainer and coach. Da, 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 da. Like people, I don't understand that mentality now because like I think we really started seeing it in 2020 where it's like, hey, scientific research, this and that and this and that, and then like all of a sudden, if somebody glitz and glam doesn't matter if they're credentialed, it's just like, hey, there's something different. So that's I did my research. Like we've talked about that before on the podcast. Like
I can't remember what I was listening to. It was a podcast with I want to say it's Pints with Aquinas. He's been around for a long time, but um, he Pints with Aquinas is like uh, St Thomas Aquinas, and you're gonna have a beer and have a discussion, like how it used to be, like in the um, 18th century, going into the 19th century. There are a lot more like the communal areas were usually bars kind of thing. And so people would go there and have pints and talk with each other, right? So obviously St. Thomas Aquinas is not alive during those times. He was alive like 12, 1300s or something like that. Um, but he's talking about it with a guy that's a news reporter, and that gentleman said that sometime recently, um, with you're talking about with 2020, right? So with the government losing its qualifications as a quality source of information, came out in 2020, right? Where they put out their recommendations and The science did not actually agree with them, but then they were trying to say, no, the science does agree with us. And it like that back and forth. And so then people stopped trusting that. And then media outlets purporting truths, quote unquote,
Right.
that aren't true things um, and that's back and forth there. And so the media outlets lost their credibility. And then people that are um, doctors, lawyers, professors, insert random profession, say something that also isn't true. And so then people just stop trusting anybody with authority. And it
And like there's part of me that wants to understand that because like anybody that knows me on like a personal level knows like how like anti-authority contrarian I can be. Like so like I kind of get it to an extent, but then I try to think back to like, okay, before I really knew anything. But obviously before I really knew anything was a long time ago, before social media and influencers and like the word influencer didn't exist. Like I don't know how where I was drawn to get my information from. Like, do you? So we talked a little bit about it when we talked about like our reading picks, like because we obviously both like geared towards Schwarzenegger. Like, so do you remember like when you didn't really know anything, like how you gauged who knew something and who didn't, and like what you were drawn to?
um so if I went back and thought about it in that context, I feel like what I was drawn to was somebody with credentials that actually had kind of so like us, right? Which is how we ended up in the profession that we're in, right? Like that's how I'm a dietitian, that's how you're a trainer and a coach, right? Somebody that has some kind of credentials, some kind of skin in the game, like they have something to lose if they get it incorrect.
Absolutely.
Um, which is where, like on the influencer side of things, if they got it, like Liver King is a good example, right? You get something and I don't know how much he's lost. I imagine that he's still got some millions of followers and money coming in from his stuff because so many people bought in. Like, well, maybe he is on steroids, which we all found out to be true.
I would be intrigued to talk to somebody who like in a non-judgmental way, like somebody who did buy into him and like to see what the mindset is behind that. Because like I'm always of the mindset if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So like looking at him and like, oh, if you eat liver and this and that, it's like I don't think so. Like, there's a little bit of like I want to say common sense, and that seems derogatory to somebody to buy in, and that's not how I mean for it. But like the way I think is I look at it and go, yeah, it's on the gear, like whatever. So I would be intrigued to see what draws people to that.
Yeah, I think it's so back to your earlier question though, where so those were the sources that I got information from. But then as time has progressed, and now that I am a dietitian, I am like PubMed user heavily a lot, and that's just because that's what I was taught. Like you need to look up a study that has it, and you need to look up the studies that they looked at. And this goes back to like our research article or
Right.
podcast where we were talking about hey, that's not I didn't do the research. I just read a lot, and then I was critical of the research that I was reading. That takes a certain amount of education into like how like you're looking at the method section. Does that even work for the results that are saying? Like, what kind of is it a uh, um, prospective, retrospective study? Like, those are very specific words that have very specific meanings. And if you don't know them and you just read the abstract, it
Right.
doesn't really apply.
Well, like that's the reason I ask, like before this life, before profession,
Oh yeah,
BP, before profession, because like we're not general population when it comes to that, like because even at time, like I like reading research 90% of the time. There's times where I'm tired and I just like give me an easily digestible, like something I can read real quick. And I think that's kind of what draws people to influencers is that like I think it's natural that we want to believe that it's easier than what it is. We want to believe that there's some new trend. Like I know you posted the article about the GLP-1 drugs for weight loss, which is very near and dear to me because I work for a company that deals with that.
Yeah,
Um, so
there's some threads there.
not naming names and stuff. But yeah, like there's still not a miracle pill. There's never going to be a miracle pill.
Yeah,
Like that. Yes, people are going to drop weight on GLP-1s. Awesome, great, whatever. Like if you need to,
not everything. Like it's not going to be everything you want to lose, and you're not going to be able to eat whatever the hell you want.
right?
And
Because like I have literally seen people that thought it was a miracle drug, got on it, and I've watched people gain weight on them, which you have to work really hard to do that because the side effects and what it's supposed to do, like the gastric emptying slows, like so you're unable to eat as much as you were, like you're nauseous a lot of the time for a lot of people as a side effect. So to gain weight is pretty impressive on a counterproductive scale. But like it's the same thing like when people are like, oh, so and so athletes on steroids. Okay, like sweet, all right, he's taking test or trend or whatever, like he's still putting in the work. Like I could sit
a lot
here
of
and
people on
inject whatever the hell
steroids
else I
that do
want.
not look like they're on steroids.
Right, like I can do whatever, inject whatever gear in me I want, and like at the end of the day, if I'm not putting in the work, like just like weight loss, like I tout all the time, I've touted on the Facebook page, I've touted here on the podcast, it's calories in versus calories out. So many things, nothing changes. Like
There's nothing new under the sun. But as far as the GLP-1 antagonists go, a similar thing happens with people that have weight loss surgeries because it also requires some amount of behavior change around it. And a lot of them will gain weight post their weight loss phase because we call them slider foods, and it's foods that they're able to still get down even though um, their stomach most most common total bypass is the Roux-en-Y, and then the um, most common not bypass is the sleeve currently.
right.
And both of them cause malabsorption of nutrients, which is how people lose weight. And um, but despite that, a lot of people that get on them, your stomach pouch has been forcibly made smaller, whether it's with the sleeve or through the Roux-en-Y, which leaves a gastric remnant stomach, right? So a smaller portion. Um, but either way, people can still get enough food in that it will essentially slide into them so that way they can still consume the same amount or more calories, even though they shouldn't be able to physically tolerate a larger volume. Um, and so even though your body's been shifted and you shouldn't be getting to over 1,800 calories in a day, somehow people still find a way to get down 3, 4, 5,000 calories. And
Yeah, like you're thinking about like some of the stuff I enjoy. If I want to overindulge, it's very easy to have calorically dense foods that are not going to take up a lot of volume in my stomach. Like I know you're a craft beer guy. It's very easy to take 340, 400 calories in an IPA. Like give
oh, yeah,
me
just some water, you know?
yeah, just give me some nice delicious ice cream, and like that's going to go down quick. A milkshake, like you can go get 1,000 calories in a milkshake pretty quick.
It's not that hard. I think a lot is what you're talking about, though, where people just want it to be a different solution than they've been told. It's got to be easier than be careful and be wary of what I eat, and I have to work really hard. Like, there's got to be another way around it. And like I said before, like we talked about before, a lot of times the mistake is where people restrict themselves a lot during the week. And then when they're off, kind of like the craft beer example that Matt used just now, it expands the amount of calories they consume.
Like I understand the mentality. Like sounds like we're kind of crapping on it, but I'm really not because I'm very much that mentality too. Like I understand the mentality of wanting to be easier. That's human nature. Like we talk about, just keep it simple, stupid. Like yeah, if I can make it simpler. Today, like I stayed out way too late last night. Friggin' Braves game, walk off in the 10th, sweet. But like I did not want to get up and work out today, so I slept in a little bit, and so I went and crammed in a workout real quick on my lunch break. if there were a magic pill, I wouldn't have gotten that workout in today. I'd have been like, sweet, all right, cool. I can just take my pill now and not, and actually get to relax a little bit on a long day. Like, but so I understand that mentality. And, like we all, like you, like 3 kids and, responsibilities, like it'd be much easier to go, hey, I don't want to get this workout in. I don't want to eat, like, I want to eat freaking dino chicken nuggets with my kids. Like,
That would be great. I last time our kids had chicken nuggets was when we were in the hospital because my wife was giving birth to our third kid. Uh, and that's how frequently we have. It's been 6 weeks now. Right? That's how frequently we have chicken nuggets, right? So, and there's still like half the bag of chicken nuggets are in there. We're always like, well, you got those chicken nuggets. I guess we could eat that if we wanted to. Uh, like it's on the list of possible meals for us. Like every week, we still have chicken nuggets. But yeah, there's no magic pill, and um, it's kind of like what we sell is the legitimate solution where we believe, and I've seen that the best way for people to lose weight or gain muscle mass is by having somebody support them throughout the thing. I just watched this video of, I'm going to mispronounce his name, um, but I want to say it's Samson Dauda. He won the 2023 Arnold Classic Open. So this guy, this incredible physique, he is uh, his body kind of harkens back to the golden era of bodybuilding where people have smaller waists, but he has like massive size. Like he's a behemoth of a human being. And he said for the past year leading into the Arnold, every 2 weeks, I think he's British, but every 2 weeks he gets close to 40 kilos of meat, which would be it's around
what, like
70, 80
yeah,
pounds of
what,
meat, and cooks it all off. He cooks all of it every 2 weeks on a cheap barbecue grill. It spends like 5 hours doing it to prep ahead for the next 2 weeks of the protein that he's going to consume. So he has that meat, which is just chicken and steak, plus eggs and whey protein. He's like, that's all my protein sources. That's it. So this guy who's like 270 pounds and probably out of season is like 300 pounds, but cuts down to like 270 for his show, something like that, and 3% body fat. One of the top bodybuilders specifically has his girlfriend sitting right there with him, cutting all of the meat up, portioning it out on a scale. It's all in the video. So it's like a 12-minute video. She portions all of it out into bags, puts it in her freezer, and she's like, and then we'll portion this out. And that'll be part of the meals for him for the next 2 weeks. And he talks about a little bit about the other foods that he eats, and this is how he portions his food. But it's because he has this plan and this goal to win. Wants to.
and leading to that, like you said, with the girlfriend, he's got accountability. She's there. She helps. He's got a support system, and it's a habit. Like to him, like people listening to this, and you and I may even be thinking right now, Jesus, like having to cook all that meat every 2 weeks, that's a daunting task. For him, it's just part of his life now. It's a habit. Like he's ingrained that into his life. Like he gets up, I gotta brush my teeth, I gotta work, I gotta go to the gym, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta cook friggin' 85 pounds of meat every 2 weeks. It's just something he does.
Yeah, that, and he has a guy that trains with him. He has a trainer himself. He has a coach. He has a person that's like a coach that's doing his planning for his workouts, for his nutrition. He has one of those people doing all that. It's like the meat that he's been eating is because somebody said you should be consuming this amount and this amount and this amount, and you should be eating these things and these things to help reach this way. And so there's like 5 or 6 people that are helping him achieve this goal. And I heard this quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? So
Like I to say Schwarzenegger. Like anybody that listens to this podcast would be like, Arnold who? Like, does Ryan just have a friend named Arnold? Like,
well, that somebody pointed that like your close friend. I was like, if you know me, you know that that's who I'm talking
yeah, to
about.
me, there's only one Arnold. Like, I don't care if your name's Arnold. If I go, I heard from Arnold. Like, I'm talking about Schwarzenegger. Like,
Who do you think I'm talking about? When I said, but he said nothing when he is trying to stay focused. He said nothing tastes better than winning. So whenever he was getting ready for an Olympia, if he got to the point where he had some kind of thing that was going to be off his nutrition plan, he would just avoid it because he's like, I want to win. And that's going to be so much better and so much more enjoyable than have that.
and I take a very similar approach with people with like on a weight loss program because I'll ask like, what would you rather have? Like, if just coming off Easter when we record this, like I'm a huge fan of Reese's peanut butter eggs. Like when I sit down and I go want one of those, like what's more important to me, reaching that weight loss goal or having that Reese's peanut butter egg? And it may be having that Reese's peanut butter egg is more important to me, and that's fine. Like, but just don't come to me and tell me, oh no, like the most important thing in my life is weight loss. Like, no, it's not. Like the most important thing in that moment was that Reese's peanut butter egg, which is completely fine. I'm not going to shame you for it, but just don't tell like your habits have to match what you're saying. Like you can't go, oh no, this I would sacrifice anything for this. Like coming from our professional wrestling background, like I know we hear a lot of people say that wrestling's the most important thing in my life. It's like, no, I'm not going to the gym. No, I'm not watching what I eat. No, I'm not heading to training, but it's the most important thing in my life. Like it doesn't have to be. It would just match up those that skill and those habits with that end goal.
The guy that trained me, Sal Renaro, said you have to love the business because it hates you. That's to equate that to what you're saying there. If you really want something, like there is no um, worthwhile destination without a meaningful journey. Meaning that it's not going to be easy, and you kind of have to do some hard work to get there. So if you want to lose weight, if you want to build muscle mass, there are going to be some things that are uncomfortable. It takes more discipline and the motivation, and you're going to need some amount of support and accountability to get you there. Right. So you can go to franchisenutritionfitness.com, or you can go to franchisenf.com.
A big fan of that one. Less stuff to type, more time. Yeah. More time to go prep 80 pounds worth of meat. All right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And sign up for all of that today. But what I think it really comes down to is to address your original question on this was with influencers, is that people buy feelings. People want, if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast, think about whatever goal you have. Doesn't matter what it is, right? Whatever goal you have. What habit or what behavior will be different when you are at your goal? Like from where you're at right now, going to there. Are you right now sleeping 5 hours because you stayed up to watch the walk-off home run of the Braves' new catcher in the 10th inning last night, and you only slept 5 hours? Or did you
Nope,
decide,
I don't know what you're talking about.
or decide maybe I need to leave in the fifth, so that way I can get home and go to sleep, and I'll just look up how it ended in the morning, so that way I can get in my 8 hours of sleep. Is that the behavior that you're going to have at the end? Are you prepping some meals ahead, whereas right now you're going out to eat 3 or 4 times a week? And at the end, when you reach your goal, you're going to be cooking more food at home. You're going to be more food focused on what it is that you're consuming. You're going to be more aware of what's happening. Because if those are the habits and behaviors that you're going to have at your goal, we can help you reach those things and help you find the ways to include those things in your life to get you over there. And we'll provide the accountability for you along the way. Hey, you talked about your sleep. Matt, you stayed out really late last night. It's going to be tough to catch up on that sleep. What are some other things you can do to set yourself up for success to get that sleep? Ryan, you ate out 3 or 4 times this past week. What are some things you can do to maybe prep some food ahead that is going to be a little bit easier for you so that way you can have stuff to grab and go? That's what we do at Franchise Nutrition.
Absolutely. Like it's never from like a judgmental standpoint too, because I feel like that happens a lot, like talking about like non-credentialed people. Like, how dare you stay out or how dare you eat 3 to 4 times out? Like, yeah, it's bullshit. Like, no, like that's gonna happen. That's life. There's gonna be times where you prioritize baseball games over sleep. There's gonna be times where life facilitates you eating out. Boom. The thing is getting back on track after that and not making that the new habit. And we can help you get back on track with that.
Yeah. And I want you to be happy and successful. I want you to enjoy your life. I want you to be at the goal that you're at. So, what can I do to help you get there? I'm happy to do it. Aside from like coming to your house and going through all of your stuff and cooking your food for you, that you're gonna have to like pay me for my life, right? So,
Right. Then yeah. So, I mean, yeah, if you need somebody to move in with you and yeah, just cook all your meals for you and train you, yeah, sure. Hey, let's have at it. So yeah, send send a message to franchisingf.com.
yeah, it's as simple as that. That's all you need. We've heard that from plenty of like actual people that had gigantic transformations, like the guy from It's Always Sunny, and the can't remember his name, but he was in the man, I can't remember that show that was on HBO. I can see his face, but he was in a Marvel movie. He said the exact same thing. He had to lose all, like he had to have a coach that was with him, a chef that lived in house and made all of his food and did all these things for him, so that way he could get to the body that he wanted in a really short period of time.
I mean, maybe I'll do all that for you if you just buy me a new cord for my headphones. Because if you're watching the visual one, like, I don't know why. So if you're picking up feedback and stuff, that's why. So like, just buy me some new headphones and I'll prep some meals for you.
That's a couple though, not very many.
Well, yeah, I'll get like lunch and dinner one day. Like it's like, I'm eating the same thing for dinner and for lunch. I didn't say it was going to be different food. I said to prep 2 meals.
There you go. All right. Either way, head on over to franchisenf.com and sign up for your free meet and greet today. Like we say every week, maximize every bite.
Maximize every rep.